This is Laugh or Death, hosted by keynote speaker Paul Osincup.
Okay, I'm very excited to have my guest today, Mike Wilson, who is the president and CEO of Members First Credit Union, which under his leadership has grown rapidly, expanding to 12 counties and surpassing 630,000 members. He helped found the Members First Charitable Foundation, which is a nonprofit corporation whose mission is to support grassroots organizations within South Central and Northeastern Pennsylvania. And in 2023, he was awarded an honorary doctorate from Central Penn College in recognition of his community support, charitable efforts, and contributions to the small business community over the years. So, Mike, great to see you again. I'm really glad you agreed to do this. I appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, well, let's dive right in. Let our listener get to know you a little bit. So tell us, as a man with a very serious job, you're the president and CEO of a large credit union, but what's something weird about you that you love or something weird that makes you happy?
Sure. Well, I first of all, I love my dog. I'd prefer to rescue when at all possible, and I've got a little guy that we've made a tremendous amount of progress on. He had some baggage when we got him, but he's in great shape now. But I love 90s and 2000s hip hop in particular. We use that in a lot of communications at work, a lot of, joking and humor. We try to drop, lyrics and things into videos that we produce. But I have in my office a gigantic painting of Biggie Smalls.
Do you really?
I do, yes. It's gigantic. In fact, I'm not sure if it's anchored into the wall, but I could probably bring it over here. It would cover this entire screen. It's massive.
That's amazing. I'm gonna have you send me a picture of that. That's awesome.
Sure, you got it. And when I first addressed the credit union after the board named me CEO, I started my speech with "It was all a dream." So
yes.
We try to have fun. We try to have fun with that at work. It's something that everybody kind of, enjoys joking around with.
I noticed that as one of the reasons I was excited to have you on the podcast. And, I get to speak at events and with organizations all over the world. And I get to see various leaders with their organizations and a lot of different company cultures. But it was really fun. So, the background of how Mike and I met is they hired me to speak at their Members First. It's like your annual, I forget what you called it.
We call it our rally. It's
your
annual
rally. Yeah, your annual rally. And you close down all of your branches for an entire day, which I'm sure is a difficult logistical thing to do.
It is.
And bring how many employees do you have? There's like 1,300 or something.
1,300. Yeah, 1,300 across our headquarters and 61 branches throughout Pennsylvania. Yeah, so it's the event is a big to do.
It was amazing. And so I got to go and kind of see this, and there, the beginning of the day was like a health and wellness fair, and then you're going to give kind of the state of the union almost of the organization.
That's right.
But what struck me is I saw you up there kind of going over your slides before, and you've got this bright red sequins jacket on, ready to go. You've got your 90s rap lyrics embedded into your presentation at different points in time. And I'm like, man, this guy, he's just trying to make this fun because, going over the financials and that kind of stuff on its by itself isn't all that fun. And I also really noticed that your employees seemed to genuinely love the day, because I've been to events where it's like there's eye rolls and it feels like a scene from The Office and that kind of thing. So is all of this intentional from you in terms of creating a certain type of culture?
Absolutely. In fact, prior to being the CEO, I actually just hit the 3-year mark this month. But prior to that, I was our chief experience officer, and a big part of that was our marketing area. I had responsibilities for that. We went through an organizational rebrand in 2020. So that lets you know how crazy I am. Who rebrands in 2020?
Yeah, exactly.
But we did it. We forged ahead, and it was one of the best things we ever did. And to me, I think the key part of making our rebrand work was actually we formally branded and protected, trademarked our culture. So everything started with our culture. And we did that for, oh my gosh, the better part of a year. That was only for our associates, so that everybody, would feel like they were empowered, that they had buy-in, that they were driving everything that was then later going to go out to the membership. And so it was all built around this concept of a culture of we, where the collective we is far more impactful than any individual me. And so we kind of live and die by that. I meet every single new hire on their first day at Members First. And we've got kind of like a fun little video that we produced. The red sequin jacket is actually in that video. So it ended up becoming a thing from there. And that's why that jacket makes an appearance every year at our rally. It's something it's just a silly little thing, but our associates love it. And I try not to take myself too seriously, because I believe CEOs that truly believe in their organizational culture should be incredibly approachable.
That's awesome. So what is the symbolism then of that red sequins jacket that to you? Like what does it symbolize? Because obviously it's in the video where people are onboarded,
Sure.
And then you bring it out every year at your employee rally.
Yeah. And the meaning behind that, or at least when we started it, is, financial institutions, they could be very dry. Sometimes they can be, I guess I would say self-serving for the institution, and they don't take the relationships on the other end of the table seriously. We're in the relationships business. That's who we are. There is a great and tremendous sense of loyalty to our brand, but that is only because it is driven by the relationships. And so if I want to make sure that we keep that relationship philosophy, the most important thing I can do in my role is to make sure that we're doing absolutely everything we can to take care of our associates first. Because if we do that, they will then take incredibly good care of our members. And if we take really good care of our members, then we have more resources to reinvest back into the business. So it all starts with our culture. And when we went through our rebrands, the point was to take us out of the old, staunch, traditional financial industry where everything is like dark wood and walnut and like dark colors and no light. We went to a color palette of 5 bright colors that stand against a red emblem. And so getting out of that old 3-piece suit and putting on that bright red sequin jacket was like our way of coming out of the same old, like black and white legacy complacency era.
Oh, I love that. It's almost then like a symbol of like, we can be ourselves. We don't
That's
have
right.
to be every other credit union or bank or whatever. And also almost a signal to your team and your associates, like, you can be who you are at work.
That's
like
right.
you can be yourself.
Their safe space.
Yeah.
You know what I talk to them about frequently.
That's great. It breeds like psychological safety. If like, hey,
That's right.
if the CEO is wearing this bright red sequins jacket and spouting off rap lyrics in these videos or at our, then surely I can bring a little bit of that joy of who I am and my own unique self to work as well.
Yeah, everybody has a personality, and I just want them to feel comfortable, being who they are, especially if we're blessed enough to have people willingly come into the office regularly. That not everybody has that. And I believe that's a testament to our culture. I wouldn't want your listeners thinking that I don't take my job seriously. I absolutely do. I know my audience, but time and place, there are appropriate things for this. And I also want to be an example for associates who, like I did not come from like a family of affluence, for example. I worked crazy hard. I went to night school. I worked full time and went to night school. It was a grind. It took forever, but I willingly share all of that because if we can serve as an example and open the doorway for someone else, to do the same things, that's one of the most impactful things we can possibly do.
Absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned there when you were talking about why you create this culture of we and that the culture for your associates is so important. I love how you laid it out that like essentially a happy team then creates happy customers, or in your case,
That's right.
members. And then if your members are happy, then you are going to have the resources to reinvest into the credit union, which then helps you help more small businesses and people
That's
who
right.
want to do great things. And so it really is like, if I take care of these people and help them enjoy what they do and have a passion for what they do, everything's going to kind of take care of itself.
That's right. Do the right thing and everything will fall into place. It's pretty simple form.
I love it. I love it. So, so you mentioned that, you're not from an affluent family, and I know that you actually got your start working in education, right? And your family traveled all over the place. You're like from a military family. So how do you think that background of being traveling all over and then kind of starting in the education realm has helped shape who you are and how you lead as a president and CEO?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. So first, I have been on my own in Pennsylvania since I was 17. So my dad took another transfer and continued to move around the country. I was just ready. I was ready to establish roots, and I was definitely determined to be the first person in my family that ever went to college. But I had to do it differently. I had to support myself financially if I was making the choice to stay up here on my own, right? So suddenly I found myself responsible for all of my bills, and I had some tough choices to make. Like, for example, I did not have cable. I bought my first piece of furniture, was a small couch from a Goodwill for $35. Like, I have lived that, period of life where, you only have limited means. You have to make choices accordingly if you want to do that responsibly, and you got to grind it out to get to where you want to be. So I think that's, a really big part of it. The second part is when you're a military family and you're moving, for us, it seemed like we were moving almost every 2 years. You get to see all kinds of different things and meet all sorts of different people and cultures, but you don't have any roots anywhere. So you kind of feel like you don't have like a sense of home. And so for me, deciding to stay up here and establishing roots, I really wanted to get involved and entrenched in the community. And that meant going through these county leadership programs where they talk about, here are the major employers, here is, who's who in the zoo and how, everything works. Programs like that are always based around the tenets of servant leadership, but how every local government applies them is completely and totally different. And I really valued having the chance to go through that and understand it. And then just getting involved in the field of education, I wanted to be able to help people who, like me, maybe had to do some things on their own, and it was a bit of a struggle, and they needed a good support system because not everybody has that. And that's what got me started in education, just wanting to help people, better their situations.
Coming from that background, it probably helps a lot then running a credit union, because you get people who are, seeking your help to start something that's like, hey, I can't do this on my own. And, maybe, and there's probably a lot of people who are coming from also some like humble backgrounds. It's like, I don't have the money for this. I don't have a lot of money for, to put down on it. And you're having to then look at people like, hey, we all had to start somewhere. We've got to figure out a way to pay things forward and kind of reach out and help people out in our own community. So I love how it's kind of a whole circle of that kind of giving back to, like, we've all started somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, that's just one of the basics of being a good credit union. The whole premise of this industry was founded upon people helping people. Like, for example, our credit union started 76 years ago because 9 people put money into a pot to lend someone money for an appliance during the war. So we have very humble beginnings as to how we started. I know that, as we traveled the country as a family, it seemed like the one constant in our life was our credit union. That's who my dad went to, whenever we needed things. And I think it's very important to be able to relate to people. Because oftentimes when they reach out to us, sometimes it's not happy moments. Sometimes it's very daunting decisions or really tough situations. And it's our job to really have empathy and to be human and to be kind and to help them figure out the best path forward.
Amazing. Well, and I know under your leadership, the credit union's grown a lot. I mean, I think you're earlier you were like, I don't want people to think I don't take my job seriously, because I really do. It's very obvious that you do. And I also want to kind of get your thoughts on, in my book, I talk a lot about the like humor in leadership and being a leader who can have fun. Oh, hey, you got it right there. I mean, look at that.
Sure
We didn't
yeah.
even plan that. I didn't even know you had a copy right there. How about that? Thanks a lot. But the kind of dichotomy between leaders, myself included, who it's like, I want to be taken seriously and I'm a high achiever and I want to perform, but I also want to be myself and have fun and show a little bit of that silly side of who I am. And one of the things in the book that I talk about is that when you're a leader, you don't necessarily have to be funny, but creating an environment that is fun. And so I want to take people behind the curtain a little bit. Like this event that you planned for your staff, you closed all the branches.
Yep.
It happened to be on April Fool's Day, which I don't think you necessarily planned it for that reason. But I thought it was
not. It was the only day you could accommodate a company of our size. That was the challenge. Yeah, there are not many places we can go in our market.
I thought it was a hilarious thought of all these customers going on April Fool's Day and saying, "Oh, sorry, we're closed today." Going, "What the heck? Is this a joke?"
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
But I'm sure that that you didn't plan it that way. But so here we all are at this event, and I'm seeing you're incorporating the red sequins jacket. Instead of hiring a speaker on, say, mindfulness or financial planning or anything else, I mean, there are experts in everything. You hire me to talk about using humor in your life and seeing the world in a lighter way. And you also, within the day, you planned out, your staff had created these funny commercials and put in these funny commercials and stuff. So to me, is this all intentional? I mean, it seems like work that you're like, okay, we want to be intentional about making this feel different. And I guess my question is, how and why is that important? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. I mean, one, we're in some pretty tough times. They're heavy times, right? And so it kind of feels like you can't get away from the heaviness of a news cycle or just things or the advancements of AI, like daunting on certain things that people are really concerned with. I want to make sure that when people come to work, I believe that people work here because they have a sense of purpose. And if they have that sense of purpose, they will be passionate about what they do. Their paycheck definitely matters. It's our obligation to help our people live well financially, since their job is to help our members live well financially. But I think it all starts with purpose, right? And so if people feel like we're the kind of workplace that they want to come to, not because they have to come to, it's a game changer. And so these are, is it work? Yes, but they're simple little things that make our people feel important. And so that is definitely all by design. So when we do that rally, the first half of the day is very much an intentional health and wellness fair. We want everybody to take advantage of all of the opportunities that are available to them. And even that includes screenings of perhaps things that they wouldn't have otherwise taken the time to do. And so providing those things are very helpful. I have some ideas for next year on being able to kind of separate different areas. And one area will be for mental wellness. Another one will be for physical wellness. Another one will be for financial wellness. So we're going to keep evolving this thing. And much of it we do based on associated feedback that is very valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's clear, and I think sometimes people think like, oh, well, our culture will take care of that stuff, or, hopefully people will have fun if we bring them all together for a day. But it's like, you do kind of have to, culture is curated, I mean, right. A bad culture can be created from the bottom up. And so the leadership needs to say, what do we want this experience to feel like? And I could tell that you all were very intentional about we want this to feel light. We want this to feel like a treat to people, as opposed to just another grind to go through.
Yeah. And if you're going to take those things seriously, you have to, what is that saying? Say what you mean and mean what you say, right? So everybody needs to observe that in your actions. Otherwise, it's just branding and empty words. So you have to do that. I know with our leadership team, with our C-suite, it was made very clear to everybody, if you're going to be a member of this team, you have to lead by example with our culture. Have to. Like, that's the expectation, because we try, when at all possible, to promote up from within and develop from within, and then backfill our entry-level roles. And so in order for that to work the right way, everybody's got to lead and be a good cultural fit. And when I do meet everybody on their first day at Members First, I tell them we hire for culture and train for competency. It's really important that we do that.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. I mean, because you're going to either have like culture by default or culture by design. If you've got the leadership buying in and walking the walk, one of the things when I work with organizations, often I'll get people who are like mid-level managers or maybe HR is like, oh, it'd be fun to have someone come talk about humor or do a workshop with our staff on humor, that kind of stuff. But the very like top leadership isn't bought in, and it's like, this is not going to really do much for you. Well, sure, you know what I mean? And so knowing, seeing that you've got not just you, but like your leadership team, and then a lot of your staff, like creating those hilarious commercials that you did. I imagine they had a blast. Like, it was fun for the entire, 1,300 people to watch them because they were funny. But I'll bet they had a blast making those.
They did. They had a total blast. I also really appreciate, so our associates work with a local arts school on producing those. So it's our associates that write the scripts, and they, make the screenplays and kind of star in all of that. But they're doing good work with a local production school. It gives them real life examples and, things that they can kind of put on their sizzle reels as they apply to colleges and things along these lines as well. So they do a great job with that.
That's cool. And another cool thing about, like, if there are people listening to this and you're in a leadership role and thinking like, how can I be a leader who incorporates fun and doesn't take myself too seriously? I think another thing is being able to play along. Like, you at that event, for example, you didn't feel like, oh, I have to go up on stage and be funny. You had you were authentic, talking about, like, you tell your staff about your love for 90s hip hop, and that you have a pug named Marshall Mathers.
That's right.
And which I love. But then you were also game with, like, I kind of was having a little fun with you about, like, hey, your next commercial needs to be you rapping and doing like rap battles with other credit unions and banks and that kind of stuff, and spitting some lyrics out about that. And I could see you in the front row laughing along and not going like, oh, this isn't what we paid for. I got to be taken seriously. Like, the fact that you're being able to, like, have fun with that in front of the whole team, that means a lot to people.
Sure. Oh, I also loved your idea. I mean, my mind immediately started going to friends that I think might be down to do something. I think that would be a total blast. Yes.
Oh, man, if you guys do that, I'd love to see the finished product. Like, you mean like friends at other credit unions and stuff? like doing, like, let's do like rap battle back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be.
Yeah, I think that would be a blast. And I have some friends that would probably be quite good at that. We could make something very entertaining.
So, okay, so who's your all-time GOAT then? I know that you love a lot of different rappers, but like, who is it? Biggie?
Actually, I was just asked this question by our finance department. So go around to each business unit, over the course of a quarter. I make sure I talk to everybody, just so we can keep everybody aligned and they know what's happening. Anything they want to ask, I'm a very transparent, open book. But they've fired off that question after asking me a bunch of financial questions and balance sheet questions. Someone said, by the way, who's the GOAT to you in terms of hip hop? I think everybody thought that I was going to say Biggie Smalls, but my answer to that is actually Dr. Dre. I love Dr. Dre because I feel like he has done an incredible job standing the test of time. Yeah. He has reinvented himself several times. He's a brilliant business person, even outside of producing music. But not only has he done an incredible job with his own career and evolving, he has opened the door for many other artists. He's also got a signature sound. I mean, it's just so to me, that's my why.
Dude, I love that answer. I mean, growing up out west, I was always partial to like kind of the West Coast
Sure.
hip hop. And you and I are kind of from the same era, and so we probably grew up with a lot of the same music. But yeah, I always loved the West Coast. Maybe that's the track that you and the other CEO can do, is like 1, 2, 3 up to the 4. One of you Snoop, and then Drake comes in, ready to
Yeah.
make it, whatever. Yeah. Oh, that would be so good, man. I love that. Yeah, that'd be good. And it's got counting right at the very beginning of the song. You could
That's right.
incorporate
That's
that
exactly
somehow.
right. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I actually, I'm a big karaoke fan, and that is a song that I would love to do in karaoke, but with all the edits, you probably wouldn't get too many words out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but if you do it karaoke, you can go back and forth with somebody else. So
Sure. Yeah.
that's great. Oh man, that's fun. Well, I do really appreciate how you've been able to kind of take your very serious role and elevate your credit union to a point where you're in a rapid growth phase right now that can be hard on employees,
Mhm.
all of the rapid growth and the change and, all the things that come with that. And so by, I think, creating this culture and really nurturing this culture of through just being authentic and encouraging people to be authentic, it probably softens the blow a little bit of the constant change.
Yeah, but this is actually where I think my prior career in education has been extremely helpful, because tell me what you're going to tell me again, right? Helping people to understand the why, repeating these things and being transparent with, here's what we're doing, here's why we need to do it, here's how we're going to do it, here is when you can expect it. If any bumps in the road come up and it causes us to deviate from that plan, we'll make adjustments as we need to. But, we're very transparent with the way we run the business here. I think actually, you would have seen this at the event. We sourced questions from our associates, and we only had, so much time to be able to answer so many on stage. But I did not know those questions in advance. I prefer to be authentic and unscripted. It's not hard for me to tell the truth. Right. And so even if sometimes someone may not like the answer, at least I'm going to explain why, and have some empathy behind it. But I did respond to every single question that was asked individually after that event. And that's how we run the business here.
That's great. Did you get any kind of off the wall questions that weren't like work related?
I did get a question about AI and carbon footprint and a whole host of things that I obviously did not know the answer to that. We're not an AI company, but we are a subscriber to Microsoft services, and we did actually use our connections to reach out to Microsoft to get an answer to our associates' questions. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It would have been great if you would have just asked AI the question and then responded. Here's the answer that Copilot gave us.
Yeah.
I actually did that once. Somebody wanted to interview me about authors. Like a lot of publishers are giving AI free reign to authors' works, and so somebody was doing a news article about it and wanted my thoughts. And so my first answer to their question was this really generic, like, well, there's pros and cons, and here's the pros and cons. And then I wrote, just kidding, this is the answer that AI gave. And this is why I'm not too worried about AI, because it'll just give you kind of the boring answer. So here are my real answers. It's like, if we could just be human, then we don't have to worry about AI.
That's right. So interestingly enough, I am on the board of an AI company. And I wanted to do that to stay on top of, the pace of change with technology and look at different use cases. And we recently had an event with the former chief AI officer from NASA. And what he was explaining was, this technology was actually developed to help people be better critical thinkers, not to replace their thinking, so that they don't have to ask it the right questions. And so that really resonated with me, because what I've seen so far is that our ability to free up time from mundane, copying and pasting tasks or spreadsheets. Like our business analysts, for example, are able to be much better business analysts because they have the time now to be able to critically think rather than taking all the time to go find data, then assemble the data, then put together a report, and then get to being a business analyst. So it was a pretty interesting thought.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and in any line of work, you can kind of take there's always going to be the human element. So like in a credit union, for example, I would imagine you've got somebody who they've got their on paper application for a loan, but there's more to that person than what they're going to submit to you on paper. So sure, AI could help you analyze some of the data, but it's like, who is this person? What are they about? How are they in the community? What do we know about them? And what is it that they're trying to get this loan for? There just may be a lot more to it to be making these decisions that are human related that AI will be able to help us with, but that maybe it'll give your people the resources to attach more to that human part of it.
You are 100% correct. So first, what you just described, we have loan committee every Friday, and every Friday, that's what loan committee is for, to talk about who is the borrower, what is their character, what are they doing in the community, all of these kinds of things. These are factors that do not end up in some AI underwriting algorithm, for example. But one thing that, and I think I mentioned this at the event where you joined us, we want our underwriters, we don't want them to check a box just keeping up with churn and regulations. We want our underwriters to change a life. And so if we can free up their time to be able to more critically think and take a chance on people that deserve to have a chance taken on them, that's a game changer, right? And so that's our view on how we're going to deploy and leverage that kind of technology.
I love that. I mean, ultimately, I talk all about humor. I think one of the reasons that it's so important to me is because our sense of humor is what makes us human. And so anything that taps into just being human and the human part of business, the human part of the lives that we lead, that we can hang on to and nourish and help grow. I mean, that's what this whole thing is all about, living life, So I really appreciate the way that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a big part behind our culture. We try to use these examples. This is not a home equity loan. This is somebody paying for the ability to adopt, and they've been on a waiting list for several years, and they just got the call and they need the money now, right? That's what's behind all of these things, not the loan. It's life's moments and milestones, and there are really powerful stories behind all of that.
Yeah. Has there been any times in your life where you've been struggling and humor has kind of helped you through it, or given you a sense of resilience as you've gone through life?
Yeah, sure. I think that part's really important. I shared with you, I just hit the 3-year mark as CEO. I felt a tremendous amount of pressure because my predecessor had been here for 24 years and was a known commodity and beloved. And I've been here for 10 years, but 10 years is not 24. And 7 years at the time were not in the CEO role, which is just totally different. So I know, I was probably a little bit more of an unconventional hire in terms of not, quote unquote, growing up entirely within the financial industry. And, I'm probably a little younger for my age with the size credit union that we are. But the reality of it is, I've lived through those crazy moments. I can identify with our members. I can identify with situations. I'm entrepreneurial and I've started a business and a nonprofit. My credit union helped me with both of those things when I wouldn't have had anywhere else to turn, and any other traditional institution probably would not have approved those loans, right? And I believe that's our obligation, is to not, even though we're going to grow, let's not lose our identity. And let's make sure that we don't back away from relationships, double down on them. And so, I know our board, we went through a pretty rigorous process with a number of applicants, both internal and external. But I needed to use humor to basically get myself comfortable with, I am not my predecessor. I'm going to do things differently. I know I'm feeling a tremendous amount of pressure because I'm new in the role and I've got to deliver results and, but you can't just go straight to the results. You have to do the right things that drive the results. And so for me, it was really just thinking about how it all comes back to culture, because if I nurture the culture, everybody's going to love working here. They will do the right things, which will produce the right results. And so trying to use humor, to get myself through that uncertain period was incredibly helpful. And the irony is the uncertain period was completely and totally self-imposed because I was so worried as a new CEO. It's nothing our board did to me. It's nothing our associates did to me. It was my own mental, hang-ups, and the sense of humor always brought me back to center.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, it had. Did you have a bit of that like imposter syndrome of like, man,
Absolutely.
I'm too young
Yeah.
for this, or wait till they find out that I'm not quite ready or whatever. Like we
Yeah.
all have that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So each year has kind of been a different, milestone or maturation, into the role. And as long as I can use these things for good and try to help our other people, I just want to be a good example of what we can do internally, if we do the right things.
Yeah. Well, hey, every you're like the Eminem to Death Row Records, like every Eminem needed a Dr. Dre to take a chance on him. Come in, hey, this guy's a little unconventional.
That's
Maybe
right.
not part of our crew yet. And then eventually people look and go, hey, this young guy's got some skills now. Like
That's right.
let's see what happens. And now here you are, just killing the game.
Yeah, we're doing really, really well. I was really proud of the fact there's a metric in our business called return on assets. And the best way I can describe it to you is it's a great overall picture of safety and soundness and how well an institution is being run. So that metric in our industry, people call it the great equalizer. And there are 4,400 credit unions in the country. Last year, we were number one. That is a testament to our people. And I truly believe that's because of the culture that we provide at this organization, and people are having fun and they're enjoying what they're doing and they're taking the initiative to learn more and grow, and to help each other, to help our members. And so because they are taking that approach, because of the culture that we provide, that is what's generating the results that we're enjoying.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, like, like I said, I get to work with a lot of organizations and so many really fabulous organizations. But I love it when I'm around an organization for a day and I can feel from the people that, wow, they really are bought into the culture. They're really enjoying it. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because I think that leadership, particularly when you're in a very serious role and you're in charge of a lot of people, you're in charge of a lot of people's money.
Absolutely.
Decisions you make affect people's lives. And so this concept of like also carrying yourself lightly and showing up authentically, but still being taken very seriously and taking your job seriously, it's just such a fine balance. And you struck me as somebody that, like, this guy's figuring it out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But, we have 1,300 folks at Members First that they're depending on me, to make sure that we're protecting this organization and running it the right way so that they have great careers to feed their families. We have 630,000 members that need our help just getting through, their day to day around whatever, they may be experiencing. And then roughly 25,000 small businesses that go through, different growth cycles or different regulatory mechanisms that may impact them, or we have to be there for all of them. And so I just think, when our members have to take the time to either call us or go into a branch or do something online, they need to know that we're looking at them as a holistic human, and that we're coming with a help first or how type of mentality, so that we can do our best. All of that needs to be handled with empathy. And I, again, would come back to the culture that drives those kinds of behaviors.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the rap battle
You got it.
commercials with you and some other CEO. Last question would be then, if you have to start a record label for this new rap battle series that you're doing, what would you call your record label?
Oh, Wow, that is a really good one. Man, you caught me off guard with that, Paul. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one.
All right. We get some homework. Okay, so
Okay.
that sounds good. Hey, thanks so much for doing this. And for anyone interested in the Pennsylvania area, do you all have locations outside of Pennsylvania?
Coming very soon, actually.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
coming very soon. But we do. We actually, the fun fact about us, we own and build our own mobile app, which is not common. There are only 15 credit unions in the country that do that. We're one of those 15. And because we were born initially out of a military base, we have members that live all over the world. And so we want to continue to build the great technology and differentiators through that mobile app. And so, any given time, we have members in all 50 states and then traveling perhaps for the military all over the world. So we do have to help people and meet them where they are, wherever that may be.
So you are all over. So you're also Mr. Worldwide.
That's right.
Very good. All right. I love it. Well, yeah, you can check them out at members1st.com, right? And
right.
the link will be in the show notes. But Mike, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to staying in touch, man.
You know what? I just figured out the answer to your record label question. And
I love it. Okay, yeah. What is it?
Back. So our culture, we again we trademarked that as a culture of we. And we want to be able to help people get through their life's moments and milestones very easily. So I think we would go Easy We Record Company.
Oh, I love it. Yes, Easy We. That's great.
Yes.
Okay, dude. Okay, we're gonna end on that mic drop. Well done.
All right, thank you.
You've been listening to Laugh or Death with Paul Osincup. If you're planning a conference or event and want something smart, meaningful, and actually funny, book Paul to speak. To learn more or to get a copy of his book, The Humor Habit, visit laughordeath.com.